Hello and welcome to my vlog. Today I'm in Scotland and I've been going around Loch Assynt to try and find some nice images. We got here for sunrise but it was raining at the time, so we're just waiting, and the rain seems to have cleared and we've got some really nice light coming through. It's not actually hitting any of the scenes, but it's up in the clouds, so we've got nice cloud detail. So what I've been doing is going around the loch trying to find some nice compositions, and I saw this nice boat which is submerged in the water. Some nice pine trees in the background, so I've already got a nice photograph. I've gone to the front of the boat and looking down the loch towards some mountains, and the sun is rising over in the distance and it's lighting up the clouds, and we've got some very heavy dark clouds in the background, and that's given some really nice drama to the image. I would like the boat to have been a nice old wooden one, but unfortunately it's not, but it's sunken anyway, so it gives a little bit of a story to the photograph, which is nice. I've taken it at I think it's f11, and it's probably about 1.5 seconds, and ISO 100. There's movement in the clouds, but it didn't bother me too much how much I got in there. It was just nice to get the clouds in the background. And I've got a polarizer on the front of the lens to try and add some reflection to the water rather than to cut it out, but I've turned it around slightly because there wasn't much in the way of foreground interest at the front, but the composition was slightly better that way. So I've used the polarizing filter to darken the water at the front, but slightly in the background, give a nice reflection of these lovely clouds. And it also picks out the whiteness of the boat against the dark water, which is quite nice, and I quite like that. So I've managed to get one photograph so far. And then what I'm going to do, we're going to go back for breakfast soon, and I'm going to go around the lake, take a few more photographs, have a look, see what I can get. But I know on the other side of the lake there's some nice waterfalls just behind me over there. So what we're going to do is get some breakfast, probably coming back a bit later, and get some photographs of these waterfalls. And we can get them in two different directions. One is looking downstream, one is looking upstream, and you've got mountains either side, so either way works really well. I saw some nice bracken in the foreground, so we scouted this location yesterday. So what we're going to do is come back to that when it's a bit brighter. It was raining when we got there yesterday, so we couldn't get a photograph. So that's what our plan is for today, or sometime this week. I think it's going to be one of those shots that's probably better with no light on the foreground and you've got like nice clouds in the distance. Now at the moment this would be ideal, perfect conditions for those photographs, but because we have to get back for other family commitments, we're not going to do that now. So we're just going to go back, have some breakfast, and we're going to see what we get later on. Right, last night on the way back we stopped at Loch Assynt and managed to get a quick shot of a tree. The light was absolutely superb. It had been raining in the back of the loch and it was sunny at the front, and the light was coming through and we had some really nice light. So I just grabbed the camera, took a few photos of these trees, which I'll show you now, but I didn't video it because we just didn't have time. The light was so fleeting and it's gone, so I didn't manage to get that. So I didn't video anything, but essentially I think I used the 100mm lens, zooming in on these trees, and quite a small aperture. This morning we've come back to Loch Assynt and we've come right down to the bottom area. There's some really nice waterfalls, and the one I particularly like here is got a little bit of an inlet and the water swirls around on it, so I think I can get a nice composition here. So there's also, I don't know if you can hear in the background, there's a big waterfall going that way, so I think there's a lot of opportunities here, so we're just going to stop and take a few more photographs and see what we've got. I'm down by the river now, and I'll just talk you through how I got the camera set up. I'm using a 16 to 35mm lens set at about 24mm. I'm using a 3-stop graduated filter, which I pulled all the way down because I don't have a little stopper, and I think the big stop will be too long for this exposure. So I'm using a 3-stop completely over it, so it's just the same as having a 3-stop neutral density, which I don't have, so I just use the grads. I've then got a soft 2-stop neutral density filter over the sky because it's quite bland in white, and the highlights burn out, so I'm using that just to balance the sky with the foreground. I've then got a polariser on the front to cut the reflection off the water, so it makes it a bit darker. Now what I really like about this image is, if you can see right down the bottom here, we've got this little whirlpool, which is just a bit of an inlet, I suppose, at the side, and the water's coming down the side of it and it's just spinning round in that bit. Now I've tried a few multiple exposures of this one, some at say 3 seconds and some at 30 seconds, and I was hoping to get at 30 seconds you get a nice big twisty bit, but it doesn't seem to be appearing that way. So the slower the exposure, for some reason it seems to get a better swirl. So I've taken it about 3 seconds, something like that, and that seems to give quite a nice swirl in the movement of the water, and you get all this white spinning round, so it makes quite a nice foreground interest. The light isn't too great at the moment, it's a bit miserable, but when you're photographing intimate like landscapes such as water or waterfalls or anything like that, you really don't need lots of strong light, because especially on here, with the contrast of the white water and the shadows, it's enough at the moment to completely get a good tonal range throughout the image. If there's any sun on it, that will just reflect off the white and it'd be too contrasty and you wouldn't get the shot. So if you do want to photograph waterfalls, come out when it's miserable like this.